I know that this animal was standing behind the bush because when I turned on my flashlight and flashed it across the river, there was nothing there. The bottom half is gone, and now it's just a small white circle.
This was scary. The sharp incline of the ridge loomed like a defiant wall, a testament to the unforgiving nature of the wilderness. Each step upward was a battle against gravity, the ground beneath the boots unstable, threatening to betray the climber at any moment. The air grew thinner, the path narrower, and the dense forest became an unrelenting maze. "It's just up. It's so steep," a voice murmured, breaking the eerie silence. Determination laced with frustration echoed in every word. The speaker paused, scanning the ridge ahead, only to find an unforgiving expanse of nothingness. "God, there's nowhere to go," they muttered. The scene was desolate, the trail they had once followed now swallowed by the wild, as though nature herself conspired to erase their path. "This ridge is just straight up and down," they observed, their breath hitching from exertion. It was an endless stretch of vertical challenge, punctuated only by the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The realization settled over them like a heavy fog. Whatever trail we were on is gone. Desperation colored their voice as they cast their eyes across the unforgiving terrain. "I mean, if something's up here, it looks like it disappeared."
The bottom half is gone, and now it's just a small white circle. Whatever it was turned into a small white circle.
The air carried a sense of foreboding, as though the land itself guarded its secrets. With no other option, they pressed on, hoping that their companion, Russell, was faring better. "I hope Russell's having more luck than I am," they sighed, a faint trace of hope breaking through the bleakness. The scent of death. 13 miles to the northwest, Russell was deep in pursuit. His instincts, honed by years of survival training and exploration, guided him through the dense forest. The air was heavy with an unmistakable stench, unpleasant and decaying. It clung to the surroundings like a malevolent spirit. "It was an elk," Russell concluded as he crouched low to inspect the ground. "It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a cougar." His words trailed off, leaving the mystery hanging in the air like the scent itself. Whatever it was, it smelled like death, a smell that couldn't be ignored. This scent trail led Russell to the base of a ridgeline. The ground here was different, unfamiliar. He paused, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Yeah," he muttered to himself, a note of determination in his voice. With each step, the forest seemed to transform. "Oh, we got a trail out here," Russell noted, his discovery breathing new energy into his search.
Just to give you an idea how thick and green it is.
The ground beneath him felt unnaturally firm. "Come on, this isn't bad," he encouraged, as though urging the forest to reveal its secrets. The forest canopy began to thin, and something caught Russell's eye, a hint of something man-made amidst the chaos of nature. "Check this out," he said, bending down to inspect the ground. "This feels like asphalt." His voice faltered, curiosity laced with unease. "Oh well, that's kind of weird." Ahead, through the thick undergrowth, a shadowy outline emerged. "What is that?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the sounds of the forest. The shape solidified, its edges unnaturally straight, its presence jarring against the organic wilderness surrounding it. "Can you see that?" Russell asked, his voice rising with excitement. He took a tentative step closer. "Does that happen? That looks like a building." Fumbling for his light, he illuminated the structure, revealing its full form. "Holy cow, look at that!" His breath caught in his throat as he took in the sight before him. It was unmistakably man-made, an eerie, forgotten relic from a time long past. "It is a building," he confirmed, his voice filled with awe. Russell's mind raced. "I wonder if this is one of the old abandoned coal mining towns," he speculated, his voice tinged with wonder. The thought of such history lying dormant in the middle of nowhere was as thrilling as it was unsettling. He ventured closer, his every step deliberate. "Let's go have a look at this," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "Nature reclaims its throne." The structure loomed larger as Russell approached, its walls cracked and weathered, overtaken by the relentless march of nature.
Abandoned man-made facilities, once they're left and man has gone, nature will climb in over top of it.
Vines snaked through the broken windows, and moss crept along the decaying wood, as though the forest was swallowing it whole. "Oh," Russell muttered, the weight of the scene sinking in. "This is creepy, Russ." The emptiness of the building seemed to exhale a ghostly presence. "This is weird," he murmured, his voice echoing faintly. It was a testament to time's relentless erosion of man's creations, a stark reminder of how quickly nature reclaims what is abandoned. "Abandoned man-made facilities," Russell observed. "Once they're left and man has gone, nature will climb in over top of it." His voice carried a mixture of fascination and caution. He knew all too well that such places often became sanctuaries for wildlife. "Animals are opportunists," he continued, his gaze darting toward the shadowy corners of the structure. "They're going to see this as free shelter." Despite the unease settling over him, Russell's instincts urged him to press forward. "This is definitely something worth investigating," he resolved. Steeling himself, he stepped inside. "See what we got? You see that?" His flashlight beam sliced through the darkness, revealing glimpses of the secrets the building held. The journey through the wilderness had taken a turn no one could have anticipated. As the mystery deepened, the expedition's true nature began to emerge, a relentless pursuit of the unknown, driven by equal parts curiosity and courage. Whatever lay ahead, it was clear this was only the beginning. The eerie silence of the abandoned building enveloped Russell like a second skin. "That's creepy," he muttered, his voice barely cutting through the oppressive stillness. His flashlight beam lingered on crumbling walls and decayed remnants of a once vibrant community.
Holy cow, look at that. It's a building. Wonder if this is one of the old abandoned coal mining towns.
"This has been here a while too," he noted, his tone blending curiosity and unease. The weight of history pressed down on him, palpable in the air. "That's just weird," he murmured, his thoughts drifting back to a hauntingly similar experience. "It reminds me of the stuff we found last year," Russell said, his voice tinged with a mix of recollection and dread. Last year, the team had tracked Bigfoot through the dense forests of Oregon. Their pursuit had led them to another abandoned town, a place where the past clung like shadows to every corner. A child's mattress, weathered and torn, had painted a grim picture. "These are all children," someone had said then, their voice trembling with disbelief. The memory resurfaced with startling clarity. What the hell happened out here? The question had echoed, unanswered but persistent. Russell's musings circled a recurring pattern. A lot of Bigfoot encounters have occurred in areas that have seen a large amount of disturbing energy. It was a chilling notion, one that tied the mysteries of the wilderness to the echoes of human suffering. The forgotten town. Russell continued to explore, the weight of the forgotten town growing heavier with each step. His flashlight illuminated the wreckage, casting strange shadows on walls that seemed ready to collapse at the slightest touch. "Look at that," he whispered, kneeling to inspect a deep crevice in the ground. "See how deep that is?" The earth appeared as though it had been torn apart, consumed by time and neglect. "It looks like it's just been demolished," Russell remarked, his tone both analytical and somber. The wreckage was not merely abandoned. It was reclaimed, overtaken by the relentless power of nature. "Look how nature has just come right in," he observed, gesturing to the vines and roots that crawled over every surface. Over top of it, the forest was alive in more ways than one.
Animals are opportunists. They're going to see this as a free shelter. This is definitely something worth investigating.
Bugs swarmed him relentlessly, a reminder that this was their domain now. "The bugs are eating me alive," he muttered, swatting at the air in vain. As he moved through the weeds, he imagined what the town must have been like in its heyday. "I would imagine I'm walking through these weeds where sidewalks and streets were," he said aloud, as though speaking to the ghosts of the past. He pictured a bustling coal mining town, alive with the din of industry and the chatter of its people. Just to think how this used to be a productive coal mining town with all the hustle and bustle, he reflected. The sight before him was a stark contrast, a melancholy reminder of impermanence. It just has that vibe of, it's sad to see something that was once prosperous and strong being destroyed and taken back over by nature, Russell concluded, his voice heavy with emotion. The odor that had guided him here had vanished, dissipating into the ether. "That smell I was tracking," Russell said, inhaling deeply as though to confirm its absence. "It's gone now." Frustration began to set in. "I'm not going to find anything in the middle of this," he admitted, his hopes fading with each passing moment. The wilderness offered no answers, only more questions. It was time to move on. "I'm going to get on out of here," he decided, brushing the dust off his hands. He turned his attention to a more immediate need: shelter. "Let's see if I can't find a place to set up a camp," he resolved, the light of determination flickering in his eyes. New directions. 2 miles to the south, the forest whispered with the rustling of leaves and the soft crunch of footsteps. Mireya and Ronnie moved with purpose, their mission clear. "All right, back in the forest again," one of them said, the familiar rhythm of the wild wrapping around them like an old friend.
Right, back in the forest again, here we go.
"Here we go," came the quiet acknowledgement. The duo prepared for their investigation with meticulous care. The trail ahead led to a crucial water source, a place where the forest's heartbeat was strongest. "Okay," Mireya began, her voice calm but firm. "The idea is to keep a low profile." In the dim light, their forms blended with the shadows, every movement deliberate and calculated. "We'll just use the higher lights," she continued, ensuring that they would remain unseen by anything or anyone that might be watching. Equipped with walkie-talkies, they set off, their resolve unwavering. "We got the walkies," Ronnie confirmed, his tone steady. As they disappeared into the depths of the forest, the weight of the task ahead settled over them. The trail was just beginning to reveal its secrets, and the night held promises of both discovery and danger. The expedition was far from over. With each step deeper into the unknown, the team ventured closer to answers, or perhaps to more mysteries. Whatever awaited them in the wilderness, they knew only one thing for certain: there was no turning back. The camp stood still under the thick canopy of the forest as Mireya and Ronnie finalized their plan. Their tones were hushed, their movements deliberate. The quiet hum of their walkie-talkies was the only mechanical sound amidst the organic stillness. "So if you run into anything," Ronnie whispered, "we can kind of just keep in contact." His voice carried a sense of measured caution. Mireya nodded, her gaze fixed on the surrounding trees. "But we'll have to try to keep it to a whisper the entire time," she reminded him, her voice barely audible. Their mission was clear. One would explore the trail leading to the water source. The other would take the path toward the trailhead. "Well, I want to get down to the water source then," Mireya stated, her decision made.
Oh, I want to head down to the water source then.
Okay, and I'll go down this way.
All right, if you hear anything, just radio me.
Same.
All right, good luck, man.
Okay, good.
"Okay, yeah, that'll go," Ronnie affirmed. He gestured down a narrow path. "Down this way." Their parting words were succinct, their movements swift. "If you hear anything, just radio me," Ronnie said as he prepared to head out. "Same," Mireya replied. She adjusted her gear and gave a brief nod. "All right, good luck." With that, they separated, their paths diverging in the dense forest. Mireya turned toward the water source, while Ronnie moved toward the trailhead over half a mile away. Into the darkness. Mireya moved with a practiced precision born from years of nocturnal fieldwork. She had spent countless nights in jungles across the globe, searching for elusive primates under moonlit skies. But tonight was different. "I've spent a lot of time doing nocturnal searches for primates in different jungles around the world," she murmured, her voice steady despite the weight of the unknown. "But never in complete darkness like this." The forest seemed alive, its presence amplified by the pitch-black surroundings. Even with her lights, visibility was limited, the beams of her equipment swallowed by the dense undergrowth. "You see the lights where the visibility is so tough to adjust to?" she noted, her eyes straining against the shadows. Yet, she pressed on, her focus sharpened by a simple truth. "If there's something out here, it's going to be at the water source. Where there's water, there's life." The team had prepared for this moment with meticulous care. Earlier in the evening, they had set up 12 cameras along the trail, strategically positioned to capture what their night vision might miss. The cameras stood as silent sentinels, waiting to document any movement in the forest's depths. For Mireya, it wasn't just about sight. It's really about using your hearing more than it is about using your eyes, she reflected, her senses attuned to the faintest of sounds.
I mean, it's really about using your hearing more than it is about using your eyes.
As Mireya moved forward, the terrain changed subtly. Her path led her toward a ridge, its outline barely visible against the starlit sky. I have a ridge, she noted quietly, her voice picked up by the recorder clipped to her gear. She tilted her head, studying the land ahead. Up this direction, go straight up. The forest enveloped her in an almost unnatural silence. Every step she took was calculated, her movements quiet as she advanced toward the water source. We're just trying to stay as quiet as we can, she whispered, her breath barely audible over the soft rustling of leaves. The silence was oppressive. It pressed against her ears, amplifying the sound of her own heartbeat. This forest is super quiet, she muttered under her breath, her voice tinged with unease. She stopped and scanned her surroundings, her light carving faint patterns in the darkness. So quiet, she whispered again, her tone lowering. The silence stretched on, growing heavier by the second. A shiver ran down her spine. Too quiet, she concluded, her unease turning into a prickling sense of vigilance. A disturbance in the quiet. Then, a sound. Faint and distant, it broke through the silence like a crack in glass. Mireya froze, her body instinctively tensing. "You got something?" she whispered into her walkie-talkie, her voice tight with anticipation. A moment passed, the sound lingering in her ears. "Something small," she murmured, her breath hitching. Which could be something big. She strained to hear, her ears reaching for any hint of movement.
Oh my God, I just heard something. Ronnie.
The forest seemed to breathe around her, its silence disrupted by faint pops and cracks. "I'm hearing some popping," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The sound was subtle, but it carried weight, a presence, a suggestion of something unseen moving in the shadows. Mireya stayed rooted to her spot, her senses on high alert. The forest had shifted, its stillness replaced by a fragile tension. Whatever was out there, it was close, and it was watching. The night deepened, and the wilderness cloaked its secrets in layers of darkness and sound. Mireya and Ronnie, each on their separate paths, were now part of a story larger than themselves, a story of pursuit, mystery, and the relentless pull of the unknown. Mireya paused, her head tilting instinctively toward the faint sound. It was distant, yet distinct, coming from above. "Feels like it's coming from the top of this ridge," she whispered into her walkie-talkie. The forest seemed to close in around her as she strained to hear more. "It's definitely something," she murmured, her tone taut with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Miles away, Ronnie's voice crackled through the radio. "Ironic, I'm in," he said, his focus unwavering as he neared the water source. "I'm getting close to the water source," Mireya responded, keeping her movements deliberate and silent. There was a brief pause, then Ronnie's quiet words, laden with concern. "Be careful." "You too," she replied, her voice soft but firm. They both knew the risks they faced in these unexplored depths, where the line between hunter and hunted blurred with every step. The water source. The sound of rushing water grew louder, a steady roar that drowned out everything else. "The water is so loud here that that's basically all you can hear," Mireya noted, her words carried away by the noise.
Right, now I'm the one who feels like I'm being followed.
She was now just yards from the water source, her steps cautious as she approached. Looming nearby was the abandoned mine, a cavernous void carved into the earth, a potential refuge for something large, something elusive. Her heart raced, the possibilities flashing through her mind. This could be it, a habitat for the creature they had sought for so long. Then, it happened. A sharp, sudden noise cut through the din of the rushing water. Mireya froze, her senses screaming with adrenaline. "Oh my God," she breathed, her voice trembling with disbelief. Her hand shot to her walkie-talkie. "Ronnie! Ronnie!" she called, urgency cracking her voice. There was no reply. "Ronnie, come in!" she repeated, her words almost drowned out by the water. Still nothing. The silence on the other end of the radio was deafening, a void that mirrored the isolation pressing in on her. She turned slowly, her flashlight cutting through the shadows, but the beam revealed nothing. "I'm the one who feels like I'm being followed," Mireya confessed, her voice barely audible over her own rapid breathing. The forest, which had moments ago been alive with the sound of water, now felt oppressively silent. The kind of silence that wasn't empty but full, charged with an unseen presence. She took a hesitant step forward. The world around her seemed to hold its breath. "Now it's just dead quiet," she murmured, her words hanging in the still air. The darkness pressed in, absolute and unrelenting. "I can't see a foot past me," she admitted, her flashlight struggling against the blackness. The weight of the unknown grew heavier with each passing moment. Mireya made a decision. "I'm heading back toward our camp," she whispered, her voice firm despite the fear curling in her chest. The chase.
Just heard something really big run past me, but I can't see anything.
Just as she turned, the silence was shattered by a burst of movement. Heavy footsteps thundered through the forest, too quick and too close. Mireya spun around, her flashlight jerking wildly. "I've just heard something really big run past me," she said into her radio, her voice sharp with panic. Her light cut through the trees, but the source of the sound remained elusive. Shadows danced on the edges of her vision, taunting her with their silence. "I can't see anything," she admitted, her frustration mounting. A rustling sound came from her left. She whipped the flashlight toward it, holding her breath. "There's something over there," she whispered, her words barely audible. The forest seemed alive, the darkness itself a presence. Whatever was out there was watching, waiting, and Mireya could feel its eyes boring into her from the shadows. The wilderness had never felt so vast, so consuming. Mireya and Ronnie's pursuit of answers had led them to the edge of reason, where the tangible and the unexplainable intertwined. Whatever was out there, it remained just beyond their reach, close enough to feel, but far enough to evade. The night wasn't over, and the forest still held its secrets. But as Mireya made her way back to camp, one thing was clear. This was only the beginning of their confrontation with the unknown.